Welcome to the preview show for Sandown on Saturday, joined by Nick Noonan. Welcome.
Drizzy.
How we doing?
Good.
And Pete Jones once again from Betfair. How we doing?
Yeah. Pete, thanks. Nick.
Now boys, Sandown on a Saturday. How do we feel? Better than Ballarat? Better than going to Bendigo?
Oh, debatable. That's definitely debatable.
Well, we'll have to get used to Sandown, won't we? With Moonee Valley going out of action, and then Caulfield will be out of action when that gets a read.
I feel like I was just going to throw my week out. I'm used to going to Sandown on a Wednesday, not a bloody Saturday.
Better than going to Sale on a Wednesday, I can tell you
that's
that.
probably true. But yeah, Lakeside track. Track play is going to be interesting. The last few meetings there, it's been very sort of on speed, struggled to make ground horses back in the field. Maybe that was tempo related as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how the track does play, and especially currently a soft 7 punters, so take note there.
Yeah, I noticed that there's they're not forecasting all that much rain. If anything, it's only going to be
1 to 2 minutes, yeah.
So you expect it might improve a little bit, but might probably still start in the soft 5 range. Do you think? Or
yeah, I think it'd still be in the soft range. It's generally not a track that drains, not like Flemington. Like it doesn't drain overly well. Usually when you get a bit of rain, it just sort of sticks around, which I think is probably not a bad thing for this meeting because a lot of these horses are coming off. Like there's a few of them coming off soft track runs, which is easy to line up than horses coming off, runs at good 3 or good 4. So
nothing worse than going from like good 3 tracks to a heavy 8 and just trying to find out which one's going to handle it.
There's been a few meetings into this, like the Caulfield meetings that have, they've sort of came into this and they've had soft track runs at their previous start. So that's definitely helped for the punters at home.
Yeah, I've got to admit that when I first started looking at this race, I thought a Saturday in June at Sandown, it's got the potential to be the worst Saturday field of all time. But after looking at it a little bit closer,
it's not horrible.
It's not horrible.
Yeah.
And it's these sort of fields where you can really there's some good opportunities there to make some money. There's, a lot of people sort of go to sleep at this time of year and switch off a little bit.
Well, there's mid-season horses here which are shining through, and then you've got some who are kind of just starting on their spring campaigns. So, I mean, a Beau Belmain is a prime example of a horse that's $4.60, $4.80 in a market. I think it's a Caulfield Cup horse, but it's 2 months, 3 months too soon for it. It's severely behind where it should be, and it's kind of it just when you can just put a line through a horse like that in a market, it makes it a lot easier to consider betting.
Yep.
So let's get straight into it. Race 1 over the 1200 metres, a 2-year-old open handicap.
Yeah, sure. So we have, sorry, let's get myself organised. So in the betting we have, so in the betting we have Can't Be Done at $6. We have King of Hastings at $3.50, Igniting $5.50. We have Triton Rising, which is backed off the map. It's 8's into $4.50 at the moment, so that's the big mover, and pretty much double figures the rest.
Yeah, map here, after watching all the trials, I think Showcase the Gold will go forward. It's got early speed, Can't Be Done will be there. King of Hastings, Zafala from Barrier 1 will probably look to hold a position. I think there'll be good enough speed here, which will make it interesting for this horse that's been absolutely smashed early. I think they went up $8, Triton Rising, and within sort of 20-25 minutes the price was gone. So he's into $4.50 now. Very interesting runner.
You didn't smash it in, did you, mate? You the early sniper?
If I had to take an $8, I would have been happy with myself. I took none of the $8. He does look pretty smart though. Like, I don't know if Sandown Lakeside's going to be the best setup for him though. Off my eye, I think if your horse that gets back in the field, barrier 12, I wouldn't be surprised if he got back to near last, which first race of the day on a lakeside track. Yes, there might be good tempo on this, but if he's sitting last, reining these horses up and winning easily, I think we've got a pretty serious horse on our hands, but we'll find out on Saturday.
It did look quite impressive out of its, I watched its latest trial at the Acme synthetic track, and it sort of cruised up. It didn't really...
It was effortless.
Yeah, pretty effortless, but at the same time it was the second slowest trial of the day, and I don't think it beat much. So
didn't beat much. Its work at home has been sensational, according to the spy of mine. So you gotta have a few contacts in the business, don't you? And this horse has been they've taken it very easy with the horse. I'll put it that way. I mean, they trialled it back in January, and they send it out and then come back and they've been putting a few months into it. So it's not just coming here first up, underdone. It's ready to get that win. It's a colt. It's out of Vein Queen, son of Sebring. They're not wanting to get a loss on the board. They could have gone for an easy maiden. They've chucked it here for a reason. So I'm not surprised they've bet into it.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if he got back out from $4.50 with the exposed form in this race, and the syndicates maybe not having a great guide, given he hasn't had a start compared to a few of these who've had runs on the board and run some figures. Like King of Hastings went well at Cranbourne. I think he's probably the danger. I like his Cranbourne win. It was on a good floor, but Cranbourne's usually a track that has a bit of give in it, so I'd be assuming he'd handle this soft track. Of what I saw sort of even prior to his race starts, he looked like he was jumping out on soft tracks at Balneario.
I would just mention to punters, it's important to understand the dynamic of what we're betting to as well. So a lot of the time, if there's an option for a steward to say good 4 or soft 5, the turnover is always going to be better on a good 4, and that's better for the industry. So they will err on caution of an upgrade to a good 4 rather than a soft 5. So it's important to note that when you're looking at a horse that's handled a good 4 that may have been on the soft side of things.
Yeah, exactly. So you always got to sort of factor those things in. I thought 320, he was probably going to be my primary bet, but he can't lose on Triton Rising. He probably will. I think he'll flash home and run a place. And this is a race that's throwing out some good horses recently. Like Cliff's Edge got beaten this race 2 years ago. I think Triton Rising, if he can run well here, will be a real horse to follow in the future.
Yeah, there's 3 runners out of the same race that Astrology won a fortnight ago at Caulfield.
Nicko was on that one, I reckon.
Yeah, I found him. I don't know, I just wasn't in love with the bunch finish there. I thought they all had their chance to get past the Astrologist, and they couldn't. Can't Be Done had a great run for the way the track played on the day, so I was kind of against that form.
Ooh. So it's interesting that a couple of those that are in the betting, Can't Be Done's at $6.50 and Igniting is around $5. So Igniting sort of draws gate 11. Actually, that's another thing to mention about Triton Rising. It's drawn 12, but it'll probably go back anyhow. I can't be on Igniting. I think it was, I agree, it was sort of given every chance a couple of weeks ago.
Especially the way the track played.
Can't Be Done, I didn't think it was such a bad run. It was sort of pressured early. It didn't really get it all of its own way out in front. And it sort of did show a bit of fight when the challenge was put down by the Astrologist.
Yeah,
so
quite an interesting race overall. So
to me, it's a no-bet race. Yeah, for me, I'm quite happy to sit back.
Waiting for the mounting yard on this one. Yeah, based off Nicko.
I'll be back in King of Hastings and having to say Triton Rising, but if Triton Rising comes into the mounting yard looking like an absolute star and sort of has that bit of swag about him, maybe I'll switch the other way. But King of Hastings just maps in such a good position for mine that he'll definitely be the one who's running down.
Perfect. Let's move on to race number 2, which is a 1600 metre BM84 for the fillies and mares.
Sure, so we have Silent Roar's favourites at $2.80, Prayer Eclipse at $10, Josephine C $9.50, Global Sanction $4, Shrouded Mist $5.50.
Yeah, map here. I think Prayer Eclipse will probably come across from barrier 9. Silent Roar will hold her spot from 4. One of them is probably a leader. Gold Label Miss holds her spot from 2. Special Diva I was 4. True to the Miss from 10. Willow, do they get forward there or do they try and take a position? Interested to see sort of how jockeys like Craig Williams, Dwayne Dunn, Damien Oliver ride this track early, because if a jockey like Willow is pushing right forward on a horse like Shrew in the Mist, they're some of the better track walkers and they go out and do it every single meeting they go to. So I'd be watching those bigger jockeys and where they're settling their horses early.
So for me, I'd prefer not to bet until you get some sort of indication from the first. To me, there's only 2 decent chances in the race, being Silent Roar and Global Sanction. I can't seem to find anything else that can beat either of those 2. And they're one of 2 stories. If there's no run on, and the inside and leading is the place to be, then Silent Raw is going to be a very good thing. Global sanction on the if you find anything running down the centre of the track, running on in the first race, then it might be the one that I want to be on.
Yeah, I find it hard to tip around the Silent Raw here off what it did last start. I'm pretty sure they're not going to hand up the lead here. Dunn scares me on a front runner. He's been a lot better the past 6 months, so he's actually to the point where I'm now, if I like a horse, I'm confident in betting it. Horses like a Raja, if, as you said, they can run on early, which unfortunately one race is not a great guide for us. But
especially 2-year-olds.
Yeah, you may get a little bit of an inkling. If something runs on from the back, that gives me a bit more confidence, right? But if nothing makes ground, I find it hard to back a Raja from barrier 11 because Newt on board, Waller, they're going to go back. They're the two that I'm looking at, but yeah, Silent Raw clearly on top at this stage.
Yeah, I was very similar. Like, I didn't really find her last start. I was against her, and just the way the day panned out, like she got the absolute perfect run. It was a pretty good ride by Dwayne Dunn. Concern with the race though was, the first sort of 3 and out, well, sort of the first 3 home. Nothing really made ground in the race, but she just could strike a similar situation here, where she just out in front gets everything to suit, and she's absolutely flying. And I think she's probably a bit better than the rest of these horses. I was with Pete. The danger probably is global sanction. Mare on the way up, progressive like Silent Raw. She's also only had 12 starts, but it's just a matter of how far back she's going to be getting in the run. But I have massive respect for Graham Begg as a trainer, and horses like this, you can just see them progress to higher levels. And even Sandown, like it's coming out in a 64 race, but should be right in a race like this, I would have thought, given a lot of these are mares just sort of going around each week, maybe the so-called numbers, as a few people call them. But I thought $2.80 Silent Raw looks a very respectable price. I could see her starting much shorter.
Yes,
I could see this horse starting 220, especially if she's going to map to. Well, she's going to map to lead, especially if she a few of the syndicates see that. I could see her starting much shorter than 280.
I would just say what you mentioned there at the start about Silent Raw and the last start win. It has a lot of merit to it, and I'm going to contradict myself a bit here as well when I say this, but if you had the cleaner running on that track, nothing would have got within 5-6 lengths of it, because they were all off the bit, all chasing at the 600, 400, because they're going so hard. And Silent Raw eats up that tempo, because Dunn was just sitting there pretty on it up until about the 300, and then finally it's a go. It's a horse that doesn't find a lot, so when he's sitting on it, he's not actually, if something's going past it, it's going to go past it, because it doesn't find a lot. But on that day, you couldn't make up ground wide. So if you're already off the bit, having to go on the worst ground, he's getting 2 or 3 lengths on him.
Yeah, she was a bit flat. The margin she won by and the way she won, I think she was a bit flattered. Like, it wasn't really, I don't think she's a 3-length better horse than any of them, but just the way the track played and the sort of how the race set up for her. In saying that, I think she's coming back into a weaker race.
Yeah,
in the horse.
Exactly. It's hard to be against the horse even after you factor in all the negatives that you can take from the run.
Yeah, I thought on a day where it would be tricky to have a best bet, I think she's the most likely winning chance on the program.
Because putting his chips in early, I like it. Moving on to race number 3, 1200 metres handicap.
Alright, so we have Jungle Edge at $5, Malibu Style 5 as well, Miss Vixen at $3.80, William Thomas $2.80, and Pico at $9.50.
Yeah, map here, Jungle Edge probably your leader from barrier 8, Redefined well forward, Malibu Style probably holds barrier 1. Most interesting part of this race are the 2 favourites, Miss Vixen and William Thomas. Neither really have a lot of early speed, or Miss Vixen doesn't. William Thomas previously has been ridden forward, but they look to get cover this preparation in an attempt to try and make him settle, which probably cost him the race last start at Caulfield. He got into a pretty slowly run race and he just was too far back. His sectionals late were on par with Bandipers, who won the race. Bandipers just had a better run than him.
Ran the best 6'4", 200 of the meeting in the worst ground, and Bandipers got the A1 ground. So look, it could not have run any faster. It was just in a bad spot in a slowly run race.
On the day, I was pretty keen on him, and then he sort of kept drifting. I knew it was going to be a task for him to run on, but he got out to a price much longer than I assessed him, and I still ended up backing him. But that was always my concern. I was a bit disappointed after the race. I thought he would, run on a bit better than that. But as I sort of looked back and reviewed the meeting, it was probably a more than sound run. He's got the same problem here though. He's got an inside barrier. He's going to be stuck, not buried on the rail, but he's going to be in between horses. And how's this track going to play? Like, I think Jungle Edge, the positive jockey change from Chelsea Hall to Michael Poy is a big one, because Chelsea just went too slow last start.
She went 2 lengths below benchmark compared to the previous start when they've gone 7.4 lengths above, and then the previous one 7.4 lengths above, 8.4, 6.8, 11 lengths. So
his best chance would just be to let him, try get a cheap section out there and just let him.
It's like leader on the weekend. You just got to let him go, and when you restrain them to the point of being negative, especially with a horse like this, it's never a chance.
Suited on the soft track, suited the way the track might play. Although I was with William Thomas to beat him last start, I think he's probably not a bad starting point in the race. But if you can run on like William Thomas and Misfix and a ride in this, but I don't really want to bet here.
Yeah, I wasn't getting too excited about the price on William Thomas, although I sort of marked it on top. But
he's a bit short, isn't he?
Yeah, 280. You might actually get out on the day. It might be a bet. But the one one runner that I'm quite interested on is Redefine. It's had a little bit of support from 50s into 30s so far, and it's a horse that doesn't...
The wet tracker.
Yeah, wet tracker. It doesn't always turn up, but it's record of 24 starts for 8 wins, 0 seconds and 2/3. Just sort of shows that on its day it might actually cause an upset. It's only wins since being in Australia. It happened to be at Sandown about 12 months ago, where it carried 61 kilos. It had Melissa Julius on board, and it sort of gapped them by 3 lengths.
Big goes berserk.
Yeah, that's right.
Not bad.
Out of that same race. So I think speculative small win bet on Redefine might be the way to go for me.
You want to know why I'm against it here, apart from I backed it last start?
Yep.
You got T.O. to Harry Grace, which is a massive jockey downgrade. Tricky gate, every chance it could probably get caught 3 wide or has to work forward to get a position. It's a tough ask, but on its best, I think it can win as well. I'm just struggling to see if it jumps back to it. I thought it would last start, it didn't.
Yep. Yeah, and it was it was given an absolute toweling last start. As soon as Blazkowski went past it just gave up.
That's the horse that won since it.
Yeah, he's pretty smart.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mornington, sorry. That's the one that led all the way and actually got given a perfect ride. Just go for it, and it's smart when they do that. Quickly, William Thomas is one of my bets of the day here. I think is the most talented sprinter going around at the moment. I'll be saving on Malibu Style. It's second to the Wangoom and second to Bandit Per. You don't get much better form at this stage. I think Jungle Edge is just a number at the moment, unless it's a heavy track, and I think we're going to have a soft 5. So I'm pretty keen to be jumping on board.
Okay. All right.
Race number 4, 1200 metres, 3-year-old open handicap.
All right. So we have Acadine at $8. We have Morrissey at $4.80. Voila, $9. Wherever at 8. Beers with Clinton $4.20, and that's about it. Double figures the rest.
Yeah, Marcel from Madrid was your favourite and now scratched. So he's now with the Pruska team as well. So take note of where he lines up there, punters. But this is a pretty busy sort of map. I think Morrissey's probably going to be right there from barrier 3. Ben Hercules can come across from 9. The Great Bratsky can come across. Just Remember drawn wide. Smarter Listen drawn 14. Beers with Clint, more than exceed. There's a lot of horses here who could push forward or take sits. This is a pretty tricky sort of map to get a real good guide on. I think if you're liking a horse here, I'd be looking to back it in play and just see where it lands.
Makes a lot of sense. Do you want me to take it to start with?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. I kind of have 2 horses here that I think are the likely chances. Look, I see a lack of speed in this. You're trying to figure out who's going to lead here. And I think Morrissey's just going to pop out the front and be the leader. It wasn't suited down the straight last start. Forget it went around. 2 back at Caulfield. It was probably one of the worst paraders on the day. You'll remember that, Nicko. I'm pretty sure you were there.
I wasn't there, but watching the replay, I could imagine why. He sweated up real bad.
Yeah.
There's a horse I saw at Ballarat. against Columbus Circle, and that he's a bit mad in the mounting yard. I think it's just him.
Yeah.
Like he sweats. Yeah, I wouldn't be looking too much into lane parades.
There was a bit more to come from the yard, so I'm thinking this horse still has a bit more upside to come from it. I think from just getting an easy lead, it's going to be the one to run down at 200. Voilier is probably the most likely to do that, but geez, it's going to be ridden negatively again. It's got no early speed. It probably maps okay, and it's a massive black booker. It's just
Didn't that burn us on Saturday? The froggy Waller tactics in the last on short end. Far out.
That being said, when you looked at that race, there was a distinct lack of tempo.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
not a surprise that happened.
Yeah.
And Academe, I would say, look, it went very close 3 back at Caulfield. If it runs up to that,
Yeah.
it's
And that's that race. That was the one that William Thomas.
exactly
right, and that was.
It loomed
that
as the
rated
winner. I
really
thought it
well.
was going to win probably about 150 Academe. And
That's right. I followed Academe in the last 2 starts since then. I've been a little bit disappointed, but you're sticking with.
well, I'm saying if it stands out in the yard,
I can see him being backed from $8. Like he's
Oh,
coming out
definitely.
of a fast race at Flemington last start, and he's on a 7-day backup.
Well, they're very backed in, and I thought it was about 9s, 10s last night. So
That may be deductions.
yeah, good point.
So I guess there could be a couple of horses just prefer it being caught out at Flemington last.
Definitely.
Yeah, sure. The thing that I'm keen on, it's another roughie. It's right down the bottom. Just remember this.
Oh.
It's $18 in betting at the moment. It's still a maiden, but it showed a lot of promise in its first prep. It was a length second to Amphitrite on debut at I think it was Sale that day, and then since then it ran a place at Flemington behind Final Choice and Blue Roche. So I think it might have sort of gone amiss a little bit later in its first prep, but I haven't seen any jump outs from it just yet. But I think it's a horse that might have a bit of ability. So I'm keen to have a throw at the stumps at 18
I
bucks.
might have to flick you the trial report there, Pete.
Okay, is it?
Someone entry camp, they're very sneaky. They're a very sneaky camp. They can try and hide things. And sometimes a bit of a hard camp to get a guide on. So if there's any sort of late money or this horse is holding its price, I can see in a race like this where there's like a lot of these horses are tied in through that like not enough effort race down the straight at Flemington, even the race before that he won at Sandown. Like a lot of these horses have that form line. Morrissey doesn't really. I can see where you're sort of coming from with him, Drew. The positive jockey change for mine's big. Liam Reid into Craig Williams.
Yeah.
Like Willow is probably the most informed jockey in the country at the moment. He's absolutely flying. If he can dictate the race from out in front, he's going to be very hard to beat. I thought wherever was an impressive winner on debut at Benalla, SP at $1.40, Mark Rossi knew he had a lot of talent, SP 230, his last run, Wangaratta. Wasn't as impressive, but it is a tough ask, going to 64 class 1 grade, carrying 60 kilos and coming out to win with the inexperienced horses. I think he's on the way up. Patrick Payne's stable, they just have to be respected, especially with these connections.
Well, they're airborne at the moment, and even this year, they're actually returning 19% ROI for the last 12 months.
He is a freak, Patrick Payne.
Last 50 runners, 10 winners. Take that every day.
Yeah, if they didn't have such negative tactics, I think he'd win a lot more races, especially in Melbourne. Anyway, I thought Turn the Tide might be a bit of value here. Got up and beat Trilly last start, who looked home for money for all punters.
We have to mention that.
I'll just rub it in again. Beat home General Short, come out and won at Sale pretty effortlessly. The run prior was first up.
You had to mention that one as well.
Yeah, just a little pump up there for any punters that listen to the midweek preview. But his run prior in that not enough effort race, as I said, he was first up. I don't think he was a 1,000 metre horse, and he looked a bit sort of disappointing to the 200 metre mark. And then he picked up and he got going again late. His best forms around Beauty, Fine Dame, like it wasn't too far off Patrol. I thought at $18, if Dwayne Dunn is a bit more positive from the barrier, or $16, sorry. He was one I was happy to be with at that price in a pretty sort of open race. So him and whenever, wherever for me.
Makes a lot of sense to me. We'll move on to race number 5. It is a 2,100 metre open handicap.
Alright, so we have Pacadali, the top weight favourite in this race at $2.40, Lamborghini at $10, Willy Willy 11, Bo Balmain at $4.80, we have Thundercloud at $4.50, and Luca Bell at $11.
Yeah, I like a tempo in this race again. Just punting for maps load here. Elwood can probably go forward of what they've been doing with him his last few runs. Willy Willy will be thereabouts. I doubt Pacadali's far away. Maybe Bo Balmain. They try to ride a bit more positive and get on the back of Pacadali.
Darabad be forward.
Yeah, Darabad should be thereabouts, but they want to, push forward and lead like they do in jumps racing. I don't know. Thundercloud probably holds his spot from 2, but yeah, interesting sort of race this.
I've actually got concerns with the two favourites in the race, Pacadali and Thundercloud. I don't want to be on either of them at the current price. So Pacadali, what's it carrying 61 and a half for the claim. Look, and the other thing, Thundercloud, I thought it was quite disappointing last start, and it was the race where Luca Bell sort of came over the top, and you're getting $11 about Luca Bell. And I know it's back in weight, but
Thundercloud looks like he's nearly end of prep.
Thundercat.
Yeah, maybe.
So I'm going to go out wide again. I know it looks like I'm throwing darts here, but
Nothing wrong with throwing darts.
yeah, well, looking for a bit of value at least anyway. But I think Luca Bell's a bet. I think it was a little bit of support late. I noticed on Betfair last start, it was sort of in from 30s into around 20s, and it sort of went. And the swing was quite impressive, I thought. So I think it's a bet for me. And the other,
I think the key to Luca Bell was a soft track. Like you look at all of his wins on soft tracks. Apart from that, remember he raced through the summer on a few good tracks and he went terrible. I remember when he won his maiden at Cranbourne by the length of the straight. That day was a soft track. Last start was a soft track. Track and trip as well. So
it's a German breeding of Lucas Kranich coming through right there.
Yeah, so I'd just be penning his good track runs and just take him off his soft form. His soft form, he's right in the race.
The other runner at odds that I think might improve second up is Lamborghini. I think if you're getting double figures about it, it's a bet for me as well. I think it's probably got a little bit of got a bit of class on its side. Lamborghini, I think it might be in this race. I don't think it's an overly strong race. So
yeah, it was a bit of a hit and run last start sectionally. He hit the line pretty well. No, he had a few favours being down in the weights and that, but although he ran 9th, beaten 3 lengths, second last, nearly reads as a duck egg on the form line. It wasn't as bad a run once you sort of dive into it a bit more.
Yeah, and it's getting up to the right trip now as well. It's up over 2100. It's got to improve. Just how much, whether it's enough to win this race or not.
Yep.
Not too sure, but you're getting value about it anyhow.
Belbo Main, not ready here, I'll take it on. Thundercloud is a non-winner, it's a cat. It can only win off a strong tempo, and I do not have that mapped here, so I am taking it on.
It sounds like it's going to be the lay of the day for each of us.
It is lay of the day, Thundercloud, no doubt about it. I can't lay Belbo Main, I'm taking it on in the race, but I couldn't lay it.
To Pacamorale.
Yes, I do like Pacadali here. Tio is worth lengths for this horse. I think his claim is just so useful. In this type of race, especially where I can count out most of the runners, I know he's going to give it a good ride. He's going to get the right spot. The horse last start ran its worst data number of its last 4 runs when it won because it was not overly strongly run. So that gives me the confidence in a race where I don't see the tempo that this horse can still run a really good race and win if there's no tempo on. So it's a versatile horse for me. The other one I like kind of at odds is Willy Willy. Ignore last start. Its previous best is more than good enough to measure up here. So playing in the race, I'll be on Pacadali and a little bit on Willy Willy.
Yep. I thought it might be Pacamorale time again. He looks very hard to beat here in his last 2 runs. His last run against Live and Free was just way too good. Tio gave him a pretty good ride, but he come away and won very well. He's a horse, once he finds form, he just holds it. Even when he was with Weary, he just kept sort of putting the picket fence together.
Yeah.
Similar sort of training setup he's got going on now to what he was at Warrnambool. So I would imagine that they could keep this horse up and going, and he'll be very, very hard to beat, just the way this race shapes up for him. Maybe a bit of a hidden runner on the backup is Mawani Machine. Going to that Dr. Drill race last week where Dr. Drill, once he found that position and the way the race was run, it was probably like a $1.10 chance, really. Yeah. They were just never going to beat him. This horse had to improve his speed by like 30 lengths through the mid-race. So, beaten 8 lengths, but the run wasn't as bad as it looked. On the backup, I could see him sort of, filling a hole here, even if he does have to get back and run on, even if there is a bit of a bias or an advantage to being on speed. Like sometimes in the staying races, it's a bit irrelevant given they go over a bit longer journey. But I haven't minded him from the mounting yard, so he's one I'll have a bit of a spec rate on sort of each way at 14s. But Pakadali, 240, very respectable, happy to back.
I just quickly say Mawani Machine, I think this horse has measured up on every type of track in the past, so the soft track's no worry for it.
It's a great. The old grades get through the left.
They do. 2,000 metres is where it ran its best second, just beaten at Leopardstown in a 145k race. So it's been running around overseas for decent money, which 145k you very rarely find over there. It ran 4 lengths beaten fourth in much harder company. So what it did overseas, it can repeat that. It's right in this, definitely.
I'm happy to spec that at 14s.
Yeah. On to race number 6, we have a 2,100 metre 3-year-old handicap. So we're keeping the staying ranks going here.
Sure. So the favourite for the race we have is Dogmatic, the top weight there. It's at $3.60. We have Igniter at $9, American in Paris 12. We have Tysonic at 5, Dark Confident at 9, Green Ivy at $8.50.
Yeah, Map, not a lot of early tempo. Igniter can probably lead from barrier 3. Lucky Platypus led at Hamilton last start. Maybe they look to roll forward again. Tysonic can be thereabouts. Maybe with horses like a Fighting Fury, Crockett, Green Ivy join inside barriers, they look to hold a position. Dogmatic's probably forward at midfield. Not a lot of speed.
Is it where have you got Tysonic in the map there?
Just probably 1 off 2 pairs back.
Yep.
So
there's no real clear leader in this, is there?
No, I think Igniter will probably get the front, but I don't think it'll be a case of whether they really want it. I think
they don't want it, no. But they'll get it. I've got the feeling that Dunn may push forward with Dogmatic. I think this stable's smart enough tactically to understand that they can sit on speed and they've got the best horse regardless. Like, if they want to push a little bit of tempo or they just want to run it a little bit faster, they can.
Yeah, I think if either him or Tysonic did that, I wouldn't be surprised if Tysonic turned the tables on Dogmatic if they rode her sort of more positive and Dogmatic was giving her a start.
Yeah, agree there. And I think like Dogmatic did get the ride of the race last start against it, and it sort of now meets it. I think it's 5 kilos worse off in the weights.
Yeah.
So
did SP $10 and Tysonic was nearly favourite.
Started $15 in a Ballarat BM64 when we back to 2 runs back. I can't believe it's $3.80 now in a 3-year-old open handicap on a Saturday.
Yeah, his last run was dominant. Like, it was a good win, but he had a lot of things in his favour. Like, Tysonic can probably turn the tables on him.
To the eye, it was the most dominant win on the day, I'd say. Like, the horse was winning at the 400.
Did the data back it up though?
The data does back it up. It was I'm going to say, almost group class performance and it wasn't even pushed out. Like, it wasn't being asked from the 600, Yeah. So it's got a bit more. I'm just scared of the data turnaround. Like, can it repeat that? Like, you very often you'll see something, and this is especially with SPs here, right? So this is where I think SPs are extremely important. This thing started double figures.
Yeah.
Now, you're expecting me to take $3, $3.80, whatever it is, in a race that's as hard, based on it having a massive variant starter spike. It's very rare that they will repeat that in the next start. There'll normally be a bit of regression. So if there is regression there, especially if they run it slowly, like it may just have a couple that go past it. So I'm very scared of the regression factor here.
Yeah, I can see why.
Well, I sort of feel that Tysonic's been knocking on the door for a little while now, and sort of had excuses in a couple of runs prior to that race at Caulfield as well. And so I think, you know, from barrier 10 for Tysonic, if it is ridden positive, and it actually goes to the lead, and it's not going to have much pressure up there. There's, you know, not a hell of a lot of speed in the race. I think it can turn the tables on Dogmatic. It's the one that I want to be on.
So we can do K-Spec Cup here, which will give our best outsider in the race so that we don't have to spend a massive amount of time on them. I'm biased, I'm loyal. I lost $500 on the horse at the Swan Hill Carnival, taking on a very good potential Group 1 horse.
Potential star, Harbour Views.
They've gone 12 lengths slow there, so it was never going to win, but I'm taking Crockett in the K-Spec Cup.
Yeah, he looks like he'll be suited to 2,000 metres.
But no speed again, that's the massive issue. But the horse won't be running last, and I think it'll be running into it late.
I think I could take the horse that could run last year. He's the complete outsider of the field, but gee, I don't think he should be $61 a Fighting Fury. He was beaten 10 lengths last start in that Dogmatic Tysonic race, but he was given a tough task down the back. Like, they slowed the tempo off a bit, and Zach Spain sort of rolled the dice, rolled forward, and you look at his splits just down the back there. He was doing a lot of work just to get into the race, because it looked like they kind of started a bit and he said, gee, like they're not rolling along too much here. And then once he went, they got going again. So he was out sort of 4 wide, doing a lot of work. I think that run was a forgive run. His run prior was solid behind Declare's War, and then
I think the run prior is the massive point that you want to make here, because
he rolled forward,
which they can do here. You look at the horses out of that. Orsine, really good horse. Vow and Declare's run second in a Group 1. Could have almost got it on protest.
Yeah.
And Predecessor, who's single figures or almost single figures here, ran, just a little bit in front. So
I think from the barrier they could probably get more forward than they did last start. He just looks a big price to me at $61. Like, he's a horse that if you walked into the mounting yard and you just looked at him purely on types, you'd probably mark this horse close to favourite. Like, he's never delivered off what his sort of looks has been, but yeah, $61 looks a big price, and the other one was Predecessor at 16s. Forgive last start, got into a bit of a meat sandwich in the middle of the field, just getting bumped around. He looks a bit of a sort of weak conveyance, and that probably wouldn't have helped him. He's a bit sort of raw still, he's still learning what it's all about. His run prior, he'd be favourite here. So
absolutely, yeah. It was way up. Yeah. Are you taking Predecessor in the K-Spec Cup?
I'll take a Fighting Fury, but
alright, good. Yeah. I was about to claim Predecessor.
There you go.
So
you can have Predecessor then.
Yeah,
So
excellent.
we've covered the K-Spec Cup.
Yeah, I'd agree with what Nicko mentioned there, and it's runs prior to that, right behind Ridgewood Drive. So I think if you can put a line for its last start
against Mark Zara on,
big tick. That's it.
On to race number 7 now. This is a 1600 metre BM 78 race.
Sorry, just bear with me one second.
No, he's off the bit
Yeah.
again.
Oh, we've got him flustered with the K-Spec Cup.
That's right. I actually didn't have anything prepared, so that's it all worked out. So over 1600, we've got Hypnos, the top weight at $9. We have Mr. Reckless at $9. We have Handsome Return $9.50. We have Street Shake at $4.80. Air to the Throne at $7.50. Royal Thunder at $10. Phone Me or Phoneme? I've heard it pronounced a couple of ways.
I say Phone Me.
Surely it's Phone Me.
Yeah.
Taking the
So
$8.50 Phoneme, aren't they?
Phoneme. $8.50. Ballet Master is the first emergency at $10, and that's about all that are in the betting.
Another race where a few horses drawn by barriers can probably roll forward. Snip Fit's probably a leader from barrier 18. I don't know if they have many other options. Trey, my friend, can roll forward. Royal Thunder, Legali, Handsome Return, North Africa, EXLs and Ballet Master all have speed and can use it. I would be thinking if there is a bit of an advantage to be on speed on this day, maybe the tempo of this race looks quite fast on paper. Maybe horses back in the field, if they don't string them out too much, maybe they could run on a bit here, given that the tempo would probably suit them more than compared to other races. Compared to the other 1600 metre race in the day, like Silent Raw, doesn't look like they're going to be going too quick there compared to a race like this.
Well, that's why you've got a favourite in Street Chic who's going to sit out the back.
Yeah, from barrier 1, it's interesting what they do there. Ridden his last 5 starts. I think he's nearly been ridden his whole career by Billy Egan. I think Michelle Payne rode him 1 start and Nathan Punch. Now Damien Oliver jumps on.
It's a massive turnaround.
After a win last start where he's been in the placings nearly most of his career and struggled to win. He got the win. He won pretty effortlessly last start. I could see Ollie being very proactive here and putting this horse, he could be another one that kicks up from barrier 1. I wouldn't be shocked if this horse landed in the box seat. If the way the track's playing and you've got to be thereabouts.
In play, you're just jumping on there, aren't you?
Yeah, well, he's the most interesting runner in this race. If he did land there, I'd be interested in him, although he is a bit of a cat, but maybe that win last start, he can progress from that. He's probably your starting point in the race, even though the barrier is tricky. This is kind of a deep race. I was with Mr. Reckless out of that Silent Raw race. It was just a tough race for a horse back in the field to be making ground. He drifted on the day. It was 420 to 7s. I thought there was improvement there from the yard. If he could be running on the day, I think he could be right in the finish here. Say $10, you might get, say 15s late on the fair maybe, especially if the on-speed horses look to be advantage. I have something on him, but apart from that, tricky race.
Yeah, I found it an absolute lottery as well. Look, I think if I want anything here, it's Street Chic for the reasons that Nicko's mentioned. But to me, it's not something I'm overly enthusiastic about getting on board.
Yeah, makes sense. Box of Chocolates, horrible last start, was really good. Black Booker of Flemington, probably better suited by Hillside than Lakeside, so I'm probably still taking it on here. You got the likes of Bag Raider, who wants it dry, is what they're saying in the stewards report from last start, but I think it'll be dry enough. The horses, delivered on a soft track over in France. So
his run wasn't dissimilar to Mr. Reckless. So.
Yeah, and it's one of those races where we're saying we think you can kind of forgive that. So it's in my numbers. I think there'll be a fair amount of speed on here, which brings old mate Hypnos into the race. Ran second in a Group 1 over in New Zealand, over 1600 metres behind Madison County, who then delivered over here and measured up in group class. I thought it was fairly disappointing last start, but once again, on what happened on that day, I don't think
tough race for him too.
Yeah, I don't think it ever had a chance. 1600 metres, soft 5's perfect. This is where you're going to get your money from this horse if it's ever going to win out here.
Okay.
On to race number 8, 1600 metres handicap.
We have Mr. Marathon Man at $9, Odeon at $6.50, Al Galileo at $5.50. We have Waging War at $3.80. Bell's Choice $12, Spannerhead $7.50, El Passon $13. That's about it.
Yeah, map here. Al Passon probably goes forward. Odeon and Mr. Marathon Man probably come across from 12 and 14. Spannerhead's thereabouts. Waging War and Al Galileo will probably look to get in from their wider barriers, and I think they'll have opportunities too, given I feel these horses drawn on the inside barriers may not want to use them that much. I think they can probably slot in one off. Maybe Waging War has the potential to be stuck 3 wide as your favourite at $3.80.
So expecting a lot of speed on?
Not heaps, but they could roll along. I'd expect them to sort of go benchmark or above. I don't think they're going to go mad out in front though.
Fair enough. I'll take this one up to start with. Odeon, last start, they gapped him. Just gets beaten by One Too Good, who I would say ran its race in the yard at Swan Hill, so I would forgive its run there. Goes well soft tracks, 2 kilogram claimer, it's the one to beat. Mr. Marathon Man will improve up to 1600 soft track. Barrier's the only issue for it. Waging War, it's a horse that I can probably never find from the yard. It always gets very fiery. One last start and a lot easier at Morphettville. It's a chance.
Like a slight knock on him, like, yes, he runs well when he comes here to Victoria, but he doesn't win.
Oh, I agree on that. Well, the only time I remember him winning was when I'd get him like a 0 mark from the yard when I was doing a free Twitter thing last year in January, I want to say, for promoting the mailbag. And yeah, he absolutely shat in that day. So
Like
I just remember that, you know.
Most of his form is in Adelaide, which is some concern for mine. He's probably not a bad sort of starting point in the race. So I was kind of happy enough to be against him. There's a few progressive imports in this race who could go on to bigger and better things. Insta Irma, probably not in the same boat as like an Al Galileo, who went through the grades last preparation, really sort of run well in a lot of races. I haven't seen a trial. He actually hasn't trialled, I know that for a fact. So don't know how. Like, he'll be fit, whether he's right there, ready to go first up, is probably my concern, and just sort of the things I've been hearing. So he can still win this race though. Like, he could just win this on class, but I think we'll maybe look for deeper in the prep with him. Odin was good last start. I thought Mr. Marathon Man was probably the horse to beat. He jumped out very well leading into this preparation, went to Warrnambool Wollongong, got too far back. Last start, more positive ride. He was thereabouts in the finish. I think you can turn the table on span ahead and those horses out of that race, out to the mile, and probably rolling forward from barrier 14 with Damien Oliver on. He was probably my starting point in the race, and horse I was happy to back each way. I think he can definitely fill the hole. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Statesman ran into a first four or something of the like.
Makes sense to me.
So I'm with you with Odin, in fact, and I know it hasn't won for a long time, but here it gets its chance. So I think it's about
this track could be leaderish by this stage as well. Now, if you've come off 2 staying races and leaders and nothing's made ground, the Odeon's extremely hard to beat here.
Yeah, gee, the job change isn't a huge positive though.
I agree on that, but
Craig to Steph.
there's one thing she does well.
She runs front runners.
Front runners.
Yeah.
She does it extremely well.
Yeah, and I think getting back to a softer surface, like I know when it ran around last start it was good for, but you know, the sting was out and it sort of showed a little bit of improvement. Sort of gave away weight that day and was run down by Sun Largo. But I think it's found a winnable race here. It's the thing I want to be on.
Perfect, and on to so I'll just quickly say Insta Irma, I think I'd be probably backing into place rather than the win Eve on it here, because it's hard to turn that around on Odeon. The last race of the day, 1400 metres, 3-year-old handicap.
We have Asgard Massif at 550. We have joint favourites Buffalo River at 380 along with Fabric. We have Sizzle Me at $10 and Shimara Lass at 950.
Yeah, map here, Asgard Massif probably comes across from barrier 13. Buffalo River looks a pretty sort of fierce, free-rolling horse who, from my eye at Ballarat, didn't look like he wanted anything to take him on, so I would imagine he could probably lead Asgard Massif. Apart from those two, like Gennady can probably roll forward, our Campana rolled forward, probably PR last time, maybe they take a sip from 11. I could see this race being dominated by Buffalo River and Asgard Massif. They look the two for mine.
Bet of the day, Asgard Massif. Yeah, look, goes up in the weight, but Tio on board 55, no issues there. The data out of last start at Caulfield was sensational. Persuaders being well supported here, and I think the horse has it covered. Look, realistically, Tio will just get the job done here. If the only way I'm not going to be backing it is if there's, you know, some negative to being on speed this late. I think Fabric and Shamal Lass are both progressive horses, but they have to improve significantly data-wise to match what Asgard has done.
Please, Simon Wild, please send Shamal Lass to Geelong on Friday.
Yes, well, you'd be hoping for that. Sizzle Me is the main data horse that ever runs up to its best. I think you can probably match Asgard Massif, but yeah, Asgard Massif at the price is extremely backable each way and better the day for mine.
Yep, completely agree with Sizzle Me with this one. It's the thing that I want to be on. It's I find it actually quite an open race, and to get double figures on Sizzle Me, I reckon it's a pretty good price. I don't mind horses dropping back in distance at this time of year, and you know it does have a 1400 metre placing to Vacillator at Flemington to go with that as well. So yeah, look, I think it's a bet for mine, but it's a pretty open race.
Yeah, I could. The way I sort of mapped the race, I sort of looked at gap. If you like Fabric, I sort of gapped her a bit harder, just the way the map sort of should pan out. I thought with a positive parade and a very aggressive ride from Damien Oliver, which he did last start, I thought Buffalo River would be very hard to beat. This horse paraded in a manner which I would, like to see. Another many judges found him, say if Dicko found him on top, I'd be very happy to have a good bet at this horse. He just looks very talented. I don't think he's coming up against anything that sort of he's not coming up against no stars here. Like these are off-season horses realistically. Like Asgard Massif's consistent, but I think he could probably get the better of him, especially if Ollie dictates to Teo and leads, which I could see happening. Teo looking to take a sit, just with the senior jockey, as I said, maybe dictating to him. He was off the map first up at Ballarat. His sections down the back were very fast. I think you can sustain a gallop and probably put an acid test to the rest of the horses and be very hard to catch. Shamal Lass knocked up last start, or not knocked up, she sort of, if you're watching replays, it was a sign of a horse that didn't handle the ground, loomed into the race like it was going to win. Damien Oliver sort of was sitting there and then he let her go and there was just nothing there.
Yeah.
I think back to the soft track's going to be a big tick with her. Very happy to back her if she goes to Geelong. She looks very hard to beat there.
What price do you think it'll be?
I think she was like $5 at Geelong,
Right.
memory, or $4. So she'll be very hard to beat if she heads that way, and that track's a heavy 10, so she'll love that. Yeah, they were sort of the two for mine, but all things, if I can get a positive push with Buffalo River, I think it'll be a strong bet for mine on the day.
Perfect. Well, good work, guys. Let's get our best bet, best value, and lay of the card. I will start first. And I'm going to do something a little bit different because I actually don't have a value on the card. So I'm just going to put it out there and say I'm more than happy to bet double figures whenever I find a value bet. Nicko will know from the Wednesday podcast. I put something out at 17s, $4.50. It's run third.
I was too strong for you late there.
You were. It was looking good. Traded $1.92 on Betfair, so I got a little bit out of the win market at $2.24.
Mine was looming. I didn't know if he was going to get there, and then sort of found another gear.
But I cannot tip you on it. I can't force a bet here. So best bet Asgard Massif. You get an each way odds. I think it's just you play it 2x4 kind of thing. So 1x2, I guess. Next best is William Thomas with a save on Malibu Style. I have those as the main two in the market. I'm very keen to play around everything else. And lay of the day, no surprise, race 5, Thundercloud.
Excellent. So I have my best bet of the day in race 6, Tysonic. The best roughing on the card I have in race 4, Just Remember This, and the lay of the day, the same as you, Thundercloud. Ooh.
Best bet, race 2, number 2, Silent Roar. Next best, probably Packardali in race number 5, horse number 1, Buffalo River. I'll be playing Buffalo River in the last, race 9, number 3. I'll be playing those 3 as probably my primary bets on the day. I don't think it's a big day for value.
We're going head to head.
Yeah, we are.
Ooh, I like it.
Turn the Tides, probably value in race 4, number 12, and a Fighting Fury, race 6, number 7. It shouldn't be $61. Give him strength.
$61, and probably Betfair SP will be 100 plus if no one follows in on our information here.
Let's hope not with that one.
Yeah, don't bet it early, punters, and maybe don't put it in Betfair SP because we're going to be nabbing it. Well, looking forward to Sandown on Saturday. I'll be out there. You'll be on course, probably doing your thing.
Yeah, I'll be on course.
You'll probably be in here managing all the accounts, mate.
Not at all, mate. So I'll just be having a punt from home. I think it's a good day to stay inside.
I think that's the best way to do it.
Smart way to play it.
Yeah.
Well, go well, guys, and thanks very much for being on.
All right. Best of luck, guys.